Hey everybody, welcome back to another film of the week. Hope you guys been enjoying the content on the channel as of late. Happy Halloween. This is being filmed on Halloween. Hope you guys had a good Halloween. I definitely had an interesting Halloween with the film that we're going to be talking about here. Uh, so to cap off our Stephen King month, we were just talking about a lot of Stephen King films. We discussed It. We discussed Doctor Sleep. We discussed Ms. Misery. So I figured to cap it off with, well, a film that is none other than directed by Stephen King himself and would turn out to be his only directorial effort for good reason. That film, of course, we're going to be discussing is Maximum Overdrive, which was written and directed by Stephen King, adapted loosely by a short story of his entitled Trucks, which would actually be adapted into a full-length film later on in the 90s, as I found out through my through searches on Amazon Prime. As the film was ending, we saw there's a film called Trucks, and that was said based on the short story, and yeah, blah 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 blah. But the stars Emilio Estevez, as well as a couple of other people here and there, Pat Hingle and other people. And the story is well, how do I put this? Well, there's two large sections of text that play literally at the beginning and at the end, and then a bunch of visual noise that happens in between. But to summarize basically the text that plays at the beginning and the end, we have a comet that comes to Earth and or passes by the Earth, and as it is passing by, it projects some sort of life force into all the machinery that is surrounding humanity, that including radios, vending machines, arcade games, but more notably vehicles. And all these vehicles become sentient and they become evil and they all initiate a killing spree. And these group of people that are at a gas station, as well as a kid at a baseball game, a married couple, all have these moments with these uh, with these things, and they eventually all find their way together, and they find a way, hopefully, to band together against these machines and to take back their world, as it were. So, yeah. So here's the thing. I think it's very easy to, I think it's easy to look in the humor in this and to perhaps notice that it was made with that intention or made with perhaps that level of understanding. And to some extent, I think that the film may be a little bit self-aware in that it does, to some extent, know that this premise is silly and ridiculous, and we are gonna can't play up that campy attitude to some extent. Um, but it's a sliver, or at least that impression is minimal because a large portion of the time within Maximum Overdrive is just a lot of noise. And my friend who watched it with me perfectly described it in that it has the mentality of like a Michael Bay film, in that it's just a lot of crash and banging and explosions and this and that, and little to real any line of reasoning or common sense, and uh, just character motivations, developments, visual things that just appear just for the sake of it being there. I don't know why there's a stash of guns in a gas station, but whatever. Uh, don't understand how our characters who are in peril cannot somehow just avoid trucks, cannot somehow just get out of the way and have this not be an issue in their livelihood. Um, the motivations behind the machinery, what they're after. Like, fundamentally speaking, it's just, I don't understand, quite frankly, what the film is thematically after. What is this, motivation and storytelling? Is it some sort of industrial messaging and how our relation to machinery? Or, as I am more leaning towards, is that it is just a bunch of nonsense and it just equates to something that is frankly just just like embarrassingly directed and embarrassingly helmed. All the performances are just lifeless. And for the just so you understand my viewing of the film, I was with a bunch of like people tonight. Like there was a screaming baby, there was a bunch of distractions and stuff like that, and those amount of distractions didn't even interfere with my overall impression of the film. My impression of the film is still one and the same, without distractions or with distractions. And eventually, people left and we were settling into the film. And every time that I settled into the film, I always get a piece of dialogue that just continuously reminded me to keep checking out. Something just completely ridiculous in regards to like dramatic tension and like just intertwining with like, these performances, like talking about like, girl, I know that these cars out there are crazy, but you know what? When we get out of here, and I'm not just kidding, this is an actual line with, two characters that fall in love. This is how they talk, because when, like how characters are like, oh, we're in a very dangerous situation. Hey, how are we going to get out of here? And it's like, don't worry, we'll get out of here some way. We'll find a way. In, this, in that scene, he says, don't worry, girl, when we get out of here, I'm going to find us a boat. And it's not going to have a motor in it. Promise you that. That's just chef's kiss. And the soundtrack's done by AC/DC, which, according to my Wikipedia page, Stephen King's favorite band. Okay. And, yeah, it's just a bunch of stuff. Like, there really is real no understanding as to why things are happening the way they are. They're just kind of just there. And Stephen King called this a learning experience. I'm not entirely sure what he learned from it, as he never directed anything after this. And perhaps that is for the best, because it is so pointless, so embarrassingly directed, performed very, very questionably, and without any rhyme or reason for things to function outside of just bing, bang, boom. Just have things happen just so we get to the bing, bang, boom. Just so I can have that person's head cut off or that person, get flung around, have these cars smash into things, explosions. It's a film that is in the mindset of of practicality. How do I just get to do the smashy bits? And that's really the spirit of it. And just I'm glad he stepped away. I mean, if that was going to be the spirit of his filmmaking, I am very, very glad. And I welcome more of his books than I will of his filmmaking. So yeah, quite an embarrassing endeavor, and I am a part of me would be curious to see if he would redeem himself in doing another film. But given how he himself apparently has disowned his own movie, describing it according to the Wikipedia page as a moron movie, I have doubts that he'll ever return to filmmaking, and perhaps, like I said, that's for the best. Because I'll say this, I definitely had a great time with it. I was having a blast with just like all the shenanigans, all the nonsense playing within the narrative, how characters somehow can't dodge trucks, how you can't even though they're like going like 10 miles an hour, uh how how a bunch of these trucks again circling around a gas station at like 10 miles an hour can somehow contain all of our heroes or all of our people in peril. And I can't find her name, but there's an actress in this that gives a stunningly terrible performance in what is supposed to be this grand, grand this big grand, you know, like basically the big moment for the acting to take place, and this actress gets the chance to be that. And it's stunning to see how pathetic. Like it's I'm not saying I feel I'm not exaggerating when I say one of the worst performances that I think I have ever seen. It is just stunningly bad in its execute. Like, because there's some performances where you look at it and you go, that's not there, and that might be a fault of just how the film is directed, or maybe it's just the writing itself. I can't think of what kind of dialogue or what kind of piece of direction would have saved that performance. It's just stunningly terrible. It's pathetically done, and I was in awe of it. And to some extent, that's how I feel about Maximum Overdrive. There's an awe factor in the pure nonsense and its delivery of its ideas, which I said is just bing bang boom. And the bing bang boom kind of got a little annoying, a bit redundant, but man, was I having a lot of fun. Because, you know, there's just there's just a value to when things don't make any sense. You just kind of ever seeing how long they're gonna ride this out. Well, it was an hour and a half, and I stayed through it, and yeah. Oh yeah, and the vending machine kills a bunch of baseball kids. Like, it's kind of hard to not say to not watch this because you kind of have to. It's kind of interesting in that regard, but generally by quality, no, just no. So yeah, so those are my thoughts on Maximum Overdrive. It was quite the marvel. According to the poster, apparently, Stephen King's masterpiece of terror, directed by the master himself. Stephen King, mind you, directed this film himself, so he felt the need to put that on his own poster. Stephen King's my movie, my masterpiece of terror, directed by myself. Probably not a good thing to put on your poster. The way you described it later on, a moron movie, is a lot more fitting. But let me know your thoughts on Maximum Overdrive if you guys sat through it, if you guys had your moment of self indulgence, because that's pretty much what it amounts to, is a moment of self indulgence. Because once you look up the premise, you kind of know what you're getting into with this. But you guys let me know, did you guys enjoy it? And if you did, please let me know your rhetoric, how you feel, why you think it that way. Um, but if you guys didn't like it, let me know your thoughts. Let me know any of your thoughts on this in the comment section below, good or bad. And that's gonna be it for this video, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. And until then, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.